I'm more than okay, I say as I pull back and stand before the ocean, closing my eyes. I open my arms wide, feeling the beauty of the ocean and letting my residual sadness be swept away by the sea air. I hear chuckling, and suddenly his strong hands hold me. I now know that he's my home. The house we just left is nothing but a house. Tugging on his hand, I pull him toward the front door. Come on, I have some special ladies I want you to meet. Grace must have heard the cars in the driveway, because she steps outside before we can knock. She's wearing a simple wrap dress and flat sandals with her usual diamond earrings and the wedding band she's never removed, even though her husband died more than 20 years ago. She smiles at me with relief in her eyes before she throws her arms around me. Dahlia, honey, are you okay? She asks as she pulls back and clutches my shoulders. Grace, the house is a wreck, I say, trying not to cry. But I'm fine. She stares at me for a few seconds. I know she's making sure that I really am okay, because she's searching my eyes like she does every time she sees me. Just as I'm about to introduce her to River, she beats me to it. She smiles and puts her hand out to him. Hi, you must be River, she says with a warm, comforting look in her blue eyes. It's so nice to meet you. I've heard so many wonderful things about you. River immediately responds with an adorable grin. Mrs. Covington, it's nice to meet you too. I've heard just as many about you, he says, shaking her hand. He really is charming. Call me Grace, she says as she drops his hand and hugs him. I hear her whisper, thank you, in his ear, and his grin turns into a full megawatt smile, which makes me smile and melts my heart. Looking around, I notice Serena's car isn't here. Where's Serena? She had to pick Trent up at a basketball game and take him to a friend's, so she couldn't make it. Oh, that's too bad, I say, a little sad that she's not here. I'll call her later. Staring out toward the beach, I think, yes, I'm still upset about my house and everything that was destroyed, but I see hope in my future, and that is worth smiling about. Grace looks at me, and I flash her my biggest, brightest smile, the one that finally reappeared the day I reconnected with River. Chapter 22. Memories. Leaning into my car, River softly kisses my lips. You can stay here, you know. You don't have to go back, he says for the second time since we woke up. He pulls back and caresses my cheek. I sigh and look up at his pleading eyes, then shift to take in his beautiful face, strong chin, perfect nose, and full lips. Looking down to avoid eye contact, I move his hand to my mouth. River, we've talked about this. We can't move in together after knowing each other for 1 week. I say this, but I'm aware that he knows it's not my only reason for heading back to Laguna Beach. I disagree, you know. He grins as his eyes slide from my face to the words printed on my Smashing Pumpkins Tear Garden Tour t-shirt. You could at least stay 1 more night. Rolling my eyes, I look back at him and smile. Then tomorrow you'd just say the same thing. You'd think you know me that well already. Well, wouldn't you? Shrugging his shoulders, he leans in again and kisses me a little longer before saying, Why don't you stick around and find out for yourself? I laugh and shove him. Enough with the long goodbyes. I'll see you in 2 days. Moving away from the car and putting both hands in his pockets, he grins his sexy grin at me. Catch you later, beautiful girl. Giggling at his reference to one of my favorite Smashing Pumpkins songs, Perfect, I blow him a kiss. I'll call you when I get there. Oh, and River? I wait for him to look at me. When he does, I say, for only the second time ever, I love you. With a smile, he quickly opens my door and pulls me to him. My heart responds to his touch by beating faster. I close my eyes and lean into him. He smells so good. I press my palms against his chest and swear I not only feel his heart beating, but I can hear it too. He cups my chin and looks at me intensely. I love you so much. Traffic is light as I drive the 60 minutes or so back to Laguna Beach. I'm enjoying the tranquility of the enchanting starry night as I reflect back on the past week and how my life has changed so drastically. My emotions range from high to low. I'm happy, and I'm sad. Glancing over at the empty passenger seat while stopped at a red light, I pick up the small black rectangular picture frame I put there yesterday. The glass is gone, but the photograph, still perfect, is of my father, mother, and me at Disneyland. I clutch it tightly against my chest, remembering the fun we always had together. God, I wish they were still here with me. I miss them so much. Tears stream down my cheeks as I drive, but they are tears of reflection, more than sadness. We were able to collect most of my memories from the house. Yes, most are broken and in need of repair, but I still have them to keep and treasure. The only unsalvageable items were Ben's journals. As River packed up the broken photographs and frames, I gathered all of Ben's journal pages, flattened them, and put them in a box. I'd never read his most private thoughts, but I want to keep them nonetheless. Over the course of the week, I'd finally let Ben go. He will always be with me, but I have made room for someone else in my heart. Grace's words echo in my mind as I recall our goodbye last night while we were standing outside my car. She knew I would be back tonight, but we were both aware that when I returned, I would no longer be Ben Covington's fiancée, as I'd often been referred to after his death. Last night, as I took the engagement ring I'd tucked away so many days ago out of my purse, I clutched it tightly before handing it to her. River was waiting for me in his car. I was going to follow him home in mine. Glancing over at him, I smiled and took a deep breath. I knew the time was right. Grace, please keep it safe for me. She hugged me tightly. Dahlia, honey, I will. You deserve to be happy and you're ready for this. For him, she said, looking over at the man she knew I loved. Don't cling to the remnants of your life that have been snatched away from you. Instead, look forward to your future. I know I do. We were both crying as we said goodbye. I knew then that when I arrived at her house tonight, she would be the same loving woman she had always been, but she would no longer be my future mother-in-law. Driving down Grace's street, I stop at the end of the stone driveway and walk slowly to the beach. I haven't visited our favorite spot since he died, and I've missed it. The moonlit path is visible, and the old weathered planks creak beneath my feet as I cross over them, like I've done 1,000 times before. Looking up, the dark heavens are shining with twinkling stars, and I truly believe my family and Ben are smiling down on me. The waves splash against the sand, and it's music to my ears. The full moon's beams reflect off the glistening water and make it sparkle like diamonds. The surf moves quickly, crashing against the rocks as the white frothy sea dances across the shore. I bend down and untie my sneakers. Taking my Converses off, I tuck my phone in one and leave them in the dunes. Inhaling deeply, I hesitantly start my walk through what I have thought of as quicksand for the past 2 years. As the moonlight flickers across the beach, it's as if the moon is guiding my way to the shore. I feel like this place is readying me for the peaceful nights that will hopefully come after I leave, after I say my goodbyes. The soft sand feels like grains of sugar beneath my feet, and it comforts me as I approach the shore. Reaching the water, I release the breath I've been holding and think of Ben in the surf, on his board enjoying the waves. Thoughts of all our fun times here make me smile. A cool wind blows through the air with determination, as if it's trying to get somewhere. The beautiful palm trees, bent back from so many storms, seem close enough to kiss the ground. I roll up my jeans as the healing water swirls around me, creating a whirlpool around my ankles. Looking out into the darkness, the ocean seems to be laughing as it bounces up and down. I sit and slowly immerse myself in the water, taking deep, cleansing breaths. I stay here for I don't know how long, and let the water wash away my pain. I know I'll never forget Ben, regardless of the tangible things I may have lost. His spirit will always be with me. Standing up, I look up to the heavens again and smile. I will never stay away from this place again. I love the beach. I realize that although my memories might fade, they will always be the beacons on my path to the future, and I feel surprisingly at ease with that. As I head back to Grace's house and approach the dunes, I laugh out loud as I hear Justin Timberlake's voice sing through the night. "Hey, sexy." I hear laughter on the other end of the phone. That's my line. Sexy girl. Miss me yet? I've only been gone a few hours, I say, walking back to my car. But yeah, I do.
Chapter 23. Miles Apart. River. December, 3 weeks later. Waking up to the sound of water pelting against the windows again doesn't really bother me, because I know we won't be getting out of this warm, comfortable bed to go running, not until the rain lets up anyway. She's lying next to me, and I love how content she makes me feel. I love her, everything about her. She's beautiful, tall, thin, and has these amazingly sweet doe eyes that make her look innocent and make me want to keep her safe. But her beauty isn't the only thing I love about her. She's fun, playful, curious, and strong. She's always up for an adventure. She loves the outdoors and takes every opportunity to photograph the beauty she sees in it. She might never keep her phone charged and her emails pile up, but she always keeps in touch with the people she cares about. She's simply amazing. I roll onto my side so I can rest my head on my elbow and start to slide my hand up the inside of her thigh to feel her smooth, soft skin. She shifts to face me. I lean in to kiss her and look at her beautiful face. Good morning, sleepy girl. I know she must be tired because she never wakes up after me, but at least she doesn't wake up at sunrise anymore, thanks to the blackout shades that we installed in the bedroom. Good morning, she says, stretching her arms and smiling at me. She settles back down, snuggling into me, and gives me a good morning kiss. I love that. In the middle of our kiss, I can feel her smiling. She pulls away, still grinning, and says, "Ready?" Looking down the sheet at myself, I smirk. Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, so I guess she wants to skip the foreplay this morning. Great, let's go then, she says, pushing me out of bed as she hops off and heads to the bathroom. Dahlia, no, really? In the rain? Now? It's about all I can say because I was so ready, but not for running. After our 5-mile run, we stopped to walk the last stretch of the street that leads back to the house. We stayed in the neighborhood and didn't veer down the trails. We're walking side by side, and she's telling me about Aries' new boyfriend and is not bothered at all by the rain. Suddenly she stops, bends down, and starts taking off her sneakers and socks. I stop too, breathing heavily from the run, extremely curious about what the hell she's up to. Dahlia, what are you doing? Taking my shoes off. I can see that. Why? Because, silly, I want to jump in the puddles. She says it like I'm a dumbass and should have known. God, I fucking love her. The raindrops fall, but all I can see is the beautiful girl in front of me. She doesn't have to worry that her broken pearl necklaces won't bring her magic anymore because she's the magic. As I continue to watch her with amazement and wonder, I no longer simply see rain falling from the sky. In my mind, the drops have become the tiny wishing wells she once described to me, and they are gathering all around her. I have this overwhelming urge to grant this girl her every wish, but at the same time, that fucking terrifies me. What if she doesn't want me to be her happily ever after? What if the connection she had with him can't be broken? What if he was her happily ever after? These are the thoughts that scare the shit out of me and keep me from pushing our relationship too far too fast. What if she loves him more than me? Will she always love him more? As if having to compete for Dahlia's love against a ghost isn't hard enough, knowing the things I know about him just makes me hate him more. But what I know about him, I'd never tell her. I never hurt her in that way. After she jumps from puddle to puddle, she closes her eyes and raises her arms out to the side. She tips her head back and spins in circles like this is something people do every day. Her joy mesmerizes me, and although I never met her Grammy, I know that woman's spirit is alive inside this girl. Smiling, I walk over to her and her eyes open. She's blinking away the raindrops when I pull her to me. I kiss her hard. hoping some of her magic will rub off on me. Slowing things down, I never break the kiss as I concentrate on making sure it lets her know how much I truly love her. When she starts to quiver, I know I've accomplished my goal. "Surprise!" she yells, opening her trunk. Once we got back from our run, we took a shower, and she decided to run some errands while I talked to Xander about the contract negotiations. Cocking my head at her and raising an eyebrow, I peek inside the trunk. "What are we doing with these? Running a daycare center?" She shakes her head, pouting her lips as she points to the boxes. "Do 3-year-olds play backgammon?" Every time she pouts her lips, all I want to do is kiss her. I don't know what 3-year-olds play, but I do know what 26, soon-to-be 27-year-olds play, and it's a lot more fun, I answer, pulling her to me and kissing her soft lips. She steps around the car to open her door and grabs what looks to be a grocery bag full of food. Walking back to the trunk, she drops it near my feet, waving her finger at me. She giggles as she steps up to me. "You're lucky I love you, because sometimes your humor is just wrong." She's only really said "I love you" to me twice before, but I'll count this one. She's texted the words to me and written them in a note, but verbalizing it seems hard for her. I'm sure it's because of him. But I don't want to think about that now, so I shake that thought out of my head and give my amazing girl my full attention. Licking my lips, I feign ignorance as I ask, "What? What did I say? And what's in the bag?" Grinning, she slides her hands up my chest, wrapping them around my neck. "Don't play dumb with me. You know exactly what you said," she mockingly says into my ear. "And as for the bag, you'll just have to wait and see." In a low whisper, as close to her ear as I can get, I ask, "About the games or having fun?" She giggles again. God, I love that sound. She unwraps her arms and slides her hands to my face. I hold her as she kisses me on the lips. Her mouth lingers for a few seconds as my palms rub her back. I'm getting caught up in the moment when suddenly she pulls away and swats me on the ass. "You can't put 3-year-olds and sexual innuendos in the same conversation. It's just all kinds of wrong." Crossing my arms, I narrow my eyes and point my finger at her. "I'm not the one with sex on the brain. That word never even came out of my mouth." I spell the word, pretending to scold her as she shakes her head at me. "Come on, help me unload these, and I might not have to punish you," she says, grabbing and twisting my arm toward the trunk as she picks up the bag she set on the ground. Lifting the boxes out of the car, I turn to her and grin. If you'd have told me at the beginning of this conversation that punishment was an option, we wouldn't be standing here right now emptying your trunk. She pushes me forward and grabs some boxes herself as I follow her up the stairs, staring at her beautiful ass. I set the games onto the counter and I turn around, holding one of the boxes. "I only play Monopoly if you play by my rules." Hands on her hips, she raises an eyebrow. "What rules would those be?" "Has Milton Bradley called you with a new set? Because as far as I know, the rules haven't changed since the game was invented." Shooting her a wicked grin, I set the game down and pull out my phone. Holding it out to her, I answer, "Dahlia, as a matter of fact, I got a text this morning from Milton himself informing me of one new rule." Smirking as she walks closer to me, she places her hands on my shoulders and looks right into my eyes. "First of all, I'm pretty sure Milton died over 100 years ago." She runs her fingers down my arms and holds my hands. "And second of all, only because I'm insanely curious and like to keep up with game changes, what might this new rule be?" she asks seductively. "You don't know, beautiful girl?" She flutters her eyelashes and speaks in that cute southern accent she uses when she's trying to cover that she's being a smart-ass. "Kind sir, if I knew, I wouldn't have to ask, would I?" I clutch her hands tightly, pull her up to me, and whisper into her ear, "Every time you pass go, instead of collecting $200, you have to take something off." "Oh," she says, biting her lip as she takes the game from the counter and heads to the kitchen table, pulling the cellophane off the box. Sitting down, she flashes her irresistibly sexy smile and winks at me as she sets up our first game of strip Monopoly. Dahlia decided not to move back into her house. She packed up the rest of her things and has contractors making repairs so she can put it back on the market. We haven't talked about her long-term living arrangements since the day of the break-in, but she knows I want her to stay here with me. She's here most of the time anyway, but hasn't said anything about wanting to move in with me permanently. She's so determined to stay with Grace, she makes a point of going back there at least every other night. Even last night, after we'd finished our little game of Stripanopoly, she insisted on going back home to Laguna Beach. I'm not sure why she feels the need to do this, but I go with it because it works for her, and it's not like I'm unhappy. I'd just be happier if she moved in with me. We spent almost every day of the past 3 weeks together having a blast. Since Dahlia isn't working right now and I'm waiting for Xander to iron out the band's new contract, we've just been roaming around town and having fun with each other. At first we spent time picking up a few essentials for the house, including a kitchen table and pots and pans, but lately we spend our days running, hiking, going to the Grove to watch movies, to the arcade to play around, or trying different restaurants for lunch. Sometimes we walk along Hollywood Boulevard, and other times we just hang out here at home. And most nights she comes with me to rehearsals, and then we go out with Ari or meet up with the guys. Regardless of what we do, Dahlia and I usually end up leaving early because I just can't keep my hands off her sexy little body. I can tell she feels the same way, and it's become a game to see who can hold out the longest before we have to leave. Regardless of who wins, making it all the way home has become a challenge, and we found some fun and interesting things to do along the way. Tomorrow is Dahlia's birthday. I'm so stoked to celebrate with her. So when Belle asked if she could pull together a small party tonight, I told her yes. Dahlia's on her way here from Laguna Beach with Ari, and I just walked in the door. I ran out to pick up her present and was hoping Belle would wrap it for me, but as I look around at the chaos that is my house, I think I might have to stay in the brown paper wrapping. Belle's entourage is following her through the house with loads of party items as she's barking orders. Shaking my head, all I can do is grin. I should have known better. She points to the table as Garrett trails behind her. "Watch out!" she yells, as he sets a bag full of cups and plates on the table. "If you so much as smear a speck of icing on that cake, your ass will be banned from this party." "Dude, your sister is so bossy," he says, looking at me. She's unloading box after box as platters of food fill the kitchen counters, alcohol bottles line the bar, and a giant purple cake in the shape of a flower sits on the kitchen table. Leaning over the bar, I'm watching the craziness unfold. Belle walks through the kitchen, gripping dozens of purple balloons by their white strings. "Belle, you've got to be kidding me." She's smiling, looking very pleased with herself as she ties the balloons to the kitchen cabinet handles. "What? She loves purple." "No, not the color, Belle. This." I wave my hand around the room. "A huge blowout party isn't what I agreed to. It wasn't part of the deal." She swings her head around to look at me. "What deal? You said I could throw a party, and that's what I'm doing. Now don't be such a party pooper." She's got an annoying smirk on her face, and I'm losing patience fast. "You said a small get-to-know-each-other's friends kind of party, and this isn't that." I should have known better than to think she could ever plan anything on a small scale. Everything she does is over the top. "River, don't yell at me. Got it? I'm doing this for you, for your new girlfriend, my new friend, and you should be appreciative about it, not an asshole." Then pointing her finger at me, she continues, "And yell at me again, I'm so telling Mom." I decide to just apologize so we can move on. "I'm sorry, Belle, darling," I say in a mocking tone. "Really, we're a little old to threaten to tell Mom, aren't we?" Then I remembered I wanted to ask her something. "And by the way, how do you know Dahlia likes purple?" I didn't even know this. She gloats for a few seconds before answering. "River, come on. She's named after a flower, and everyone knows dahlias are purple." "Belle, are you drunk?" I have to ask this because that has to be one of the dumbest things she has ever said. She frowns. "No, I'm not. Are you?" I just shake my head and inhale deeply. She starts uncovering plates of food and is setting them on the bar when she notices me glaring at her. Pointing my finger at her, I say, "I'm blaming you if she's mad." "Why will she be mad? Everyone loves a birthday party." She gives me her biggest, brightest smile before yelling, "Garrett, where are the other trays of food?" "I'm getting them. Just wait a second, Belle." "Well, hurry up. Stop taking your sweet-ass time." I'm not finding any of this party prep crap amusing, especially since I'm not sure how Dahlia is going to take it. Just thinking about it again pisses me off. "Motherfucker!" I hear, coming from behind me as static and a loud, piercing sound come through the speakers. Turning around, I see Nix has unplugged the sound system and is attempting to connect a mixer board to it. "What the fuck are you doing?" He points his chin at Belle. "She wants a DJ set up." A DJ? For what? Why? This isn't a fucking dance club. Shrugging his shoulders, Nix rolls his eyes and points to Belle as he continues to mess with the sound system like he knows what he's doing. Belle! I yell, my patience with her running very low. She comes around the bar and pulls me by the arm away from Nix. Something clings to my head as she opens the sliding glass doors. The balloons are in my face, and so is Belle. You, she says, handing me the white strings. Cut the shit and start helping. I can tell by her tone she's had enough. So I decided to cut her some slack and see what sort of great job she has in store for me. It's cool that she did all of this, but all I really wanted was a small get-together. I figured we'd sing happy birthday, eat some cake, the guests would leave, and then I'd get some alone time with my birthday girl. Clearly that's not the plan now. So taking a deep breath, I look at my sister and raise my hands in surrender. What do you need me to do? Glancing around, I see Xander busy sucking face with some chick he brought with him. See all these balloons tied together? They need to be untied and strung around the chairs. Chairs? I ask, because the only chairs I own are the ones around the outdoor table, and there are way more balloons than chairs. Pinching my chin, she turns my head down toward the pool. Those chairs, the ones you're going to unfold and put around those tables. She points to a stacked pile of round tables over on the other side of the pool. Belle, just how many people did you invite? I have to ask, because there are a lot of fucking tables and chairs down there. Pacing back and forth between the party that is now in full swing and the empty dining room, I continue to look out the window. She should have been here over an hour ago. Earlier we exchanged a few texts. Ari has issues with my clothing choices and insists we make a stop on the way. Be there shortly. Smiley face. Maybe it should have been a clothing optional party. Winking smiley face. Hopefully later it will be. Winking smiley face. Heart. I haven't even seen her yet, and I already want to skip the party and go directly to the clothing optional. In the meantime, I decided to put in my song requests because the music has been awful. There are so many people here that they're blocking my view, and I can't even see the Hollywood sign that Dahlia loves so much. I stop to talk to a few friends I haven't seen in a while, and I finally make my way over to Daniel. At least, I think that's his name. He's my sister's new boyfriend, and he's DJing the party. Belle is busy filling the dozens of different types of glasses she brought with wine, mixed drinks, and who knows what else. Garrett and Phoenix are busy staying far away from her to avoid getting roped into being waiters. I head to the kitchen, grab a bottle of beer from the fully stocked refrigerator, and go sit on the couch next to Xander and some blonde. I can't remember her name, but I know he's been out with her before. Oh my God, River, she says, and I instantly regret sitting here. Her voice is like a whiny teenage girl's, and her giggle sounds like a 5-year-old's. Taking a swig of my beer, I lower my bottle, then raise it in her direction. Hey, great to see you again. Xander is grinning at me as he says, Chloe. He really can be an asshole sometimes. Calling me out for not remembering her name wasn't necessary. I mean, really, he has a different girl with him almost every time I see him, and this girl isn't one of my favorites. Her voice is so high-pitched it actually makes my skin crawl. So, River, I love your new house. When did you move in? Do you have a decorator? Because my BFF is one, and I could so introduce you. Her lips are moving, but I'm not even listening. She lost me when she said BFF, but I smile nicely at her. Sure, that sounds great. These are the kind of girls I could never stand. The ones who try to be seductive but sound more like a whining toddler. They think they are sexy, but they couldn't be more wrong. I feel like I dated a never-ending slew of them before I reconnected with Dahlia. She is nothing like those girls. I couldn't be happier about that. My phone starts buzzing in my front pocket. Setting my beer on the new coffee table, I stand up and pull it out. It's a text from Dahlia. I'm sorry we're so late. Pulling in the driveway now. Smiley face. Glancing at Xander and his bubbly blonde, I say, Excuse me a minute. Dahlia's here, and I want to say hi before she hits the door. Dahlia? Who's Dahlia? Chloe asks Xander. Xander looks at me and answers, The girl that has my brother pussy whipped. I just shake my head and shoot him a dirty look. I'm not going to argue the semantics of pussy whipped versus love with him, especially in front of this valley girl. Aren't I right, lover boy? He shouts at me as I walk away. Opening the door, I brace my hands on the frame and watch her get out of Aries' car. The driveway reflectors shine upward and highlight her amazing body. The shameless blaze in my eyes must be apparent, but I don't care who sees it. She looks hot as hell in that little black number that Ari must have talked her into buying. Her dress is short, the neckline is open, and her legs look a mile long in their shoes. When she turns to close the door, I have to shift a little to control myself. Her dress has no back, and her blonde hair is up in one of those ponytail things, so every inch of her bare skin is visible. Images of her and me alone together instantly flood my mind, and I really regret letting Belle throw this party. Walking down the steps to meet her, I'm overwhelmed by her beauty. Saying hi to Ari, I position myself right in front of Dahlia. She's almost as tall as me in those shoes, and when our eyes meet, she just looks at me, no smile, nothing. And I can tell even before her lips turn up that she's feeling seductive. Her hazel eyes seem to change color depending on her mood, and tonight they're almost brown. I love when they're that color. I also love when her eyes turn goldish green. There's an almost psychedelic quality to them. It's as if I can see myself staring at the same raw images she sees. Her mind is like a camera, and just looking into her eyes makes any great view even better. I once told her that I noticed how they change color. She laughed and said, "So if you think my eyes are like a mood ring, what color are they when I'm being bitchy?" Leaning in, I inhaled the sweet scent of her hair as I kissed the bare skin of her neck, all the way up to her ear, and softly lowered my voice to an intimate level. "Hey, birthday girl, you look beautiful. Perfect, really," I say, pulling her hips to mine. "Hey there yourself," she says, placing her hands on my arms. "Sorry we're late." Bending her neck, she allows me full access, and I can't help but grin when I notice her goosebumps. Not one to shy away from an invitation, I slowly work my way down her neck to her exposed collarbone. God, everything about her is just so sensual, and I'm so turned on right now. "That's okay, if you're late because of this dress," I say, running my hands down the side of her body. "I definitely forgive you. You look so hot." She moans softly before saying, "Thank you," in an extremely low and raspy voice. Her seductive grin turns to a smile and she points to the driveway. "I thought you said a few people. This looks like way more than a few people. In fact, I'd say it looks like a party." Before I can explain, I hear Ari yell from the top of the stairs, "Caleb, you found the place!" Caleb approaches us, and I let go of Dahlia so she can start walking toward him down the driveway. She kisses him on the cheek and they hug each other. It shouldn't bother me that his hands are on the bare skin of her back, but it does. There's something about him I don't like. Maybe it's just because he was best friends with him, and most likely he knows what I know. She loops her arm through his, leading him back toward me. I can see the glint of that bracelet he gave her that she still wears. I understand why she always wears it, but it bothers me. We talked about it last week, and she explained that it's her no-regrets bracelet. What am I supposed to say to that? Since it makes her happy to wear it, I'm doing my best to be cool with it. She walks back down to Ari's car with Caleb, and I extend my hand. "Hey, man, glad you can make it," I manage, trying to keep it real. I snake my arm around my girl and pull her close. I notice his uneasiness right away. Tonight will be the first time we'll be together socially, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. "How have you been? Sorry I couldn't meet you two last week for dinner. I got hung up in a meeting with a new client who needed an entire security system installed in a matter of days." "It's cool. We'll plan it for another time," I reply, trying not to grit my teeth. "Come on, let's go in." I guide Dahlia in front of me, putting my hand on the small of her back and tucking my fingers inside the cutout of her dress. I swear I feel her quiver. We all stand around the kitchen table singing "Happy Birthday," and Dahlia blows out the candles. I slip my arms around her waist, hugging her close to me as I stand directly behind her. Once all the candles are out, I kiss her neck and whisper, "Did you make a wish?" She turns her head to look at me. "Of course I did, but you know I can't tell you." I just smirk at her because we have gone through this wish thing so many times, but I plan to grant her more than one wish later, so I drop it. Belle cuts the cake, and I grab Dahlia and pull her into the empty dining room. "Happy birthday," I say to her, since it's after 12 and officially her birthday. Glancing at my watch, she smiles at me. "Thank you." I kiss her and my tongue slips slowly into her mouth. Her fingers comb through my hair and I pull away. "Stay here." She gives me a questioning look, but says, "Okay." As I walk, continuing to face her, my eyes drift over the length of her body. I mouth, "Stay there," and go back to the kitchen to grab a few things. Xander is standing near the entrance and corners me. "Did you tell her yet?" I just look at him and walk away. I told him I don't want to talk about it and that I'm not telling her, so why doesn't he just shut the fuck up? Caleb is talking to Belle, and I wonder if she knows him. He sees me and turns in my direction. I've been able to avoid him all night until now, so I make it short and sweet. "Just grabbing a few things before Dahlia and I go to bed," I say directly to Belle, but I see Caleb flinch. "Don't worry about cleaning up. I'll take care of it tomorrow," I tell her as I grab a cup of ice, a bottle of beer, and a piece of cake. I kiss Belle on the cheek. "Thank you." "See? I knew she'd like it." My hands are full, so I say goodbye without shaking his hand. "Hey man, thanks for coming. Don't be a stranger," I say as I walk away. "River," he says, and I turn around. "Take care of her." Not really sure of how to respond. I press my lips together before answering. Belle shoots me a disapproving look, so I know my expression mimics my thoughts. Fuck off. But instead I respond the only way I can. "Of course I will." I feel Dahlia's soft fingers grip my side and turn me around, and as she takes the cake from my hand, she says, "Thank you. Is this for me?" We're standing so close. Her eyes are now dark brown, and her expression tells me what I already know. "Yeah, it's for you." Leaning in, I whisper, "Come with me. I have something I want to give you." As we enter the bedroom, I take her cake and set it with the beer and cup of ice on the night table. She eyes it and says, "Party for one?" Giving her a devilish grin, I walk over and run my hands down her body like I've wanted to do all night. "No, birthday girl, that's what I call a party for two." Raising an eyebrow, she grins. "Okay, I'll bite." "Spill it. What do you have planned in that dirty mind of yours?" "Well, first I want to give you your present, and then I'll be happy to share my plan for your birthday wishes." I grab the gift from the closet and lead her to the bed, where she sits down. As she unwraps the paper, I know this is the perfect gift for her. I was able to score the original handwritten lyrics to U2's Beautiful Day. I had them mounted in an old-looking black frame that resembles some of the broken ones I saw at her house. When she recognizes what it is, she lifts her hand to her mouth. Tears start streaming down her face. "I love it." She stares at it for a few minutes, running her fingers across a few lines of lyrics before leaning it carefully against the table. She kicks her shoes off and stands up. I stand next to her and just watch. She unzips the side of her dress and pulls it down. She's wearing a black lace bra and panties. Stepping out of the dress, she walks closer to me. Her eyes are a brownish green, a color I haven't seen before. "God, I love you so much," she whispers in my ear as she wraps her arms around my neck and holds on like she might sink if she lets go. When she says those words to me this time, I feel like she's trying to tell me something else. She moves her lips against mine, and I open my mouth, inviting her in. I pause for a moment, pulling back to look at her to tell her how I feel. "Dahlia, I love you more than I've ever loved anyone or anything." She presses my hand over her heart and hers over mine. "Not only does my heart belong to you, and yours to me, but I've known since the first time you kissed me that we were soulmates. I knew it that first night in Vegas." I try to tell her I feel the same way, but she moves her fingers to my lips. "Shh, let me finish." She grabs my hands, holds them tightly, and looks right into my eyes. "River, I don't want to ever talk about this again, but this is something I want you to know. I loved Ben, I really did, but when we were together, I never believed in soulmates. I never even thought about it." She doesn't have to elaborate because I understand exactly what she's telling me. I blow out a deep breath and relief rushes through me. She feels the same way about me as I feel about her. I keep my mouth shut and just nod my head. She runs her fingers down my shirt, pausing at each button as she undoes it, bending and kissing each bare spot along the way. Her fingers skim my bare chest as her lips make their way back up to mine. She's breathless, and I'm panting, but I want to proceed with caution. I no longer want to throw her on the bed and fuck her. I'm not sure what prompted the tears and loving confession, and I want to know, but she doesn't seem to want to tell me right now. Her hands go to my waist, and her mouth returns to my chest, where she starts placing hot, open-mouthed kisses on her way down to my stomach. I pull her back up to my face so I can look in her brown eyes, but they are focused on my lips. Teetering between wanting to know and not wanting to know, I just ask, Dahlia, when you open the lyrics, you seem sad. Why? Does it have something to do with him? Sighing, she inhales deeply and tells me, No, that concert is the last concert I ever went to with my dad. It was the last time I ever went to the Greek. She cups my cheeks as she continues. I wasn't sad when I opened it. I was happy. Those were tears of joy because you've given me back a memory. Now I'm the one trying to keep it together. I feel my body start to tremble, overflowing with the amount of love I feel for this girl. She's had so much sadness in her life. As I gently pick her up and carry her to the bed, I feel so lucky that I'm the one who gets to be her happily ever after. I lay her down and start kissing her stomach. She sits up on her elbows and points to the nightstand. You promised to explain, she says, and I laugh. Explain what? I ask, my mind still reeling from her confessions. Your birthday wish is silly. Ah, my birthday wish is for you. I smile down at her beauty, and I want to do anything to make her happy. I look at her, kiss her, then move to take a piece of ice out of the cup and let it melt on my tongue. What are you doing? Dahlia, I'm granting you 3 birthday wishes. You can't grant me wishes if I haven't told you what I wish for, silly. And there's only 1 wish allowed per birthday, you know. Beautiful girl, you should know by now. I have my own set of rules for almost everything, and birthday wishes are no exception. Running her fingers through my hair, she says, So tell me, Jeannie, what would those rules be? Since you asked, I'm more than happy to tell. In my world, when I get to be the genie, I get to come up with and deliver the wishes. She giggles, then squeals as I take another piece of ice in my mouth and slide my cold tongue down her body, letting the ice cube dance in and out of my mouth along the way. I pause and look up at her as she watches me. And this is wish number 1. A low purring sound escapes her mouth. Oh, God, River, I love your rules. Chapter 24. I was born to love her. River. February, 3 months later. Shaking my head, I'm kicking myself for not ordering the necklace earlier. I pace the room with the phone in my ear. Mikamoto says the package should have been delivered to Xander's house yesterday, and if the dick would answer his phone, I'd know. I'm on hold with Federal Express, waiting for them to check the signature delivery log, when the doorbell rings. Making my way to the door isn't easy. I smile while stepping over all the boxes Dahlia still hasn't unpacked since officially moving in. Thank God she only brought what she thought we needed and left the rest at Grace's house, or else there would be nowhere to walk. We've managed to furnish the entire house and hire a housekeeper, but the unpacking is another story. For some reason, we never seem to find the time to do it. I don't give a shit about any of the domestic supposed-to-dos anyway, because I got my girl, and we're living life sweet and easy. When I open the door, my asshole brother is standing there grinning. He pushes me aside as he strides into the living room, planting his ass on the couch. Why have you called me 3 times since I got in my car this morning? If you'd answer your fucking phone, you'd know, dickhead. He flops his head back on the couch and spreads his arms over the back like he owns the place. Since I was on my way here, I didn't see the point in wasting my breath, he says. Reaching into the inside pocket of his leather jacket, he adds, dickhead. Pulling out the black satin box with Mikamoto emblazoned in white across the top, he sneers. You looking for this, lover boy? Turning my head toward the stairs to make sure Dahlia isn't coming, I quickly head over to him. You couldn't have let me know it came, assface? Assface? Maybe I should have just kept it and given it to the first pretty girl I saw tonight. Since it's Valentine's Day, I'm sure a gem like this would guarantee I score. As soon as I tuck the box away in one of the many partially open boxes, I walk over to sit at the counter. Dahlia insisted the movers not block the view, so instead we're tripping over whatever items she unpacks, but doesn't put away every time we come in the room. Xander heads to the kitchen. Bro, you live with one messy chick. Shrugging my shoulders at him, I say, some of us have more important shit to do than keep house. But really, you have a housekeeper. She can't do it? Dahlia wants to do it herself. She'll get around to finishing the unpacking. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. He pours himself a cup of coffee. Whatever. Better you than me. This mess would drive me fucking insane. Then raising his coffee mug, he asks, Coffee? Chuckling and nodding my head, I say, Xander, leaving the mail on the counter drives you nuts. Speaking of nuts, you were worried the necklace wouldn't get here, weren't you? I swivel my chair as he walks back into the room and tap my fingers on the counter. Not worried. Concerned. Well, maybe next time you'll order your girl's gift sooner. He laughs, taking his jacket off. I nod my head as he sits next to me, handing me one of the cups of coffee. So the record contract, he starts to say. Dropping my foot to the floor, I spin my seat around to face him. Xander, I don't want to argue about the label's shitty stipulations right now. Look, bro, I know your mind is elsewhere. He taps on his phone's screen and pushes it in front of me. But we need to get this shit straightened out and sign a contract or we won't have a deal. Glancing at his phone, he's showing me an email listing the changes to our original unsigned contract. I've seen these at least 3 times, so I roll my eyes. Xander, come on. You know the label doesn't want to negotiate. They just want us to agree before we can move forward and cut the damn album. Also listed in the email are the promotional requirements. I haven't seen these before. This touring stipulation is bullshit, I tell him, standing up and continuing to read. Everyone knows the only reason a label asks a band to tour for 9 months is because they don't believe an album can make it on its own. You need to quit being a pussy and get over it, River. Throwing his phone on the couch, I say, I don't need to quit being anything, Xander. Look, just bring her with you, he says, setting his cup down on the counter. That's not it. I slump on the couch and shove my boots on the glass coffee table. I don't want to be on the road that long. I hate that life. Living on a bus, people in my face all day, eating shitty food and drinking every night, never being alone. I finally admit to him my biggest reasons for not wanting to sign. Let me see what I can do, he says, maybe finally resigned to the fact that I'm not going to sign that contract. So did you tell her yet? I bolt straight up. He knows better than to talk about this when Dahlia is in the house. No, and I told you I'm not going to. Not a smart idea. What if Belle figures it out and tells Dahlia? Belle's not going to figure it out. You only did because I told you. I asked you not to bring it up again, and I meant it. River, I understand your need to always protect women more than you think I do, but I think you're making a mistake here. If she finds out, she's going to be really pissed off at you. I don't have a need to protect women, Xander. I just don't see the purpose in unnecessarily hurting someone's feelings. Yeah, I get it. You've always wanted a chick you could talk to, not just fuck around with. That's why you hardly ever went out with someone more than once. I told you I get you, and I do, really. But now you found an amazing girl, and you have it all, so don't fuck it up. That's all I'm going to say about it. You know I got your back no matter what. As I hear footsteps coming up the stairs, I quickly throw Xander a shut-the-fuck-up look. I turn my head just in time to get a look at my hot girl coming up the stairs. Hey there, beautiful. Hey there, beautiful yourself, she says in a flirty tone. Looking over to Xander, she smiles at him. She has the most awesome smile. Xander, she says flatly. Muse, he says just as flatly. Did you park your Mercedes out front? Because if you did, I hope it doesn't get stolen while you're slumming, she says to him, barely able to contain her laughter, and then they both start laughing. They've actually become friends since she moved in 3 weeks ago. It took a while, but one drunken night and many funny USC stories later, they decided they liked each other. In fact, she gets along great with my whole family. She goes out to lunch with my mom and sister at least once a week. My mom even convinced her to buy a lot of the stuff we have in the house. Since moving in, we've bought everything in here together. It's like I bought this house for us. It fits us perfectly. We both love it, and we love living here together. Dahlia enjoys the view and photographs it all the time. We even planted wildflowers together before she moved in. They bloomed last week, and the look in her eyes when she saw them made me want to fuck her right there in the garden. We run the trails every morning, and whoever wins gets to soap the other one down. She thinks she wins every time. God, I love her. She walks over and plops herself in my lap, and I start kissing her neck. What are you doing here anyway? She asks Xander as he walks over, picks up his phone, and sits right next to us. He leans over as if he's going to kiss her neck, and I shove him hard. Get the fuck out of here, man. Don't you have someone else to go harass? Actually, I do have people to see and places to go, he says as he stands up. I can let myself out. Great, man, because I wasn't getting up.
Bye, Xander,
she says, waving as he leaves the room, and I turn to her so I can really kiss her. The sound of her voice sends a jolt of electricity through my body that lights up deep within my soul. Shaking his head at me, he slams the door as he leaves. I kiss her soft, full lips. I run my hand down the back of her Pretender's t-shirt, then up the front. Alone at last.
We've been alone all morning, silly,
she says, shoving my hand away as I try to slip my fingers into her bra. I know, but you've been downstairs. I suck on her bottom lip before moving in for the kill.
You can visit me any...
She stops talking as I slide my head closer to her ear and dip my tongue in it. I know what this does to her. She moans a soft, purr-like sound, and I grin before scooting her off my lap.
Hey,
she says, trying to crawl back on. I want to give you something. I tell her as I stride out of the room and into our bedroom.
I thought that's what you were doing a minute ago.
She laughs.
Should I come in there?
Now I'm laughing. She really is the funniest person I've ever met. No, stay there. As I come back out into the room, I call out, close your eyes. No peeking. She does, and I make my way back over to her. Okay, this isn't my gift to you for Valentine's Day, I tell her as I string the 6 or so strands of her aunt's pearls around her neck. This is just something I wanted to do for you because I know how much this means to you. Before I even finish looping the necklace, she's clutching it with both hands. When she opens her eyes, she looks down at the pearls, a treasured part of her past she once referred to as her magical wishing wells. I had them strung back together for her. She's a little teary when she asks, You did this for me?
Of course I did. I know how much they mean to you, and I wanted to make you happy.
She jumps and kisses me before running down the hallway to the mirror while screaming, I love you, I love you, I love you. Yeah, I'm good. That evening my heart is beating so loudly I think it's echoing throughout the extremely noisy restaurant. I hold my breath and bite my lower lip in anticipation. She opens the box, and to my great relief, she loves it. Her mouth drops open and tears run down her beautiful face as she fingers the necklace I had custom made for her.
Pearls and a dahlia? How?
Putting my finger over my mouth and making a shh sound, I say, It's a secret. I stand up, walk behind her chair, and reach around her as I whisper in her ear, I love you. Then removing the one-of-a-kind 3-strand pearl necklace with the quarter-sized diamond dahlia connecting the individual strands from the box, I clasp it around her neck. Swiping her long hair to the side, I lean down and inhale that scent I love so much. It smells like some kind of fruit. Orange or grapefruit, I'm not exactly sure. She bows her head when I do this, and I kiss the small freckle in the back of her neck. Then I run my finger up her bare back. She's so fucking sexy. Bending down, I lean into her, dragging my tongue up the nape of her neck to her ear. You taste as good as you look. I'd much rather be eating you than eating here. Then I wait for the goosebumps to emerge. Sure enough, there they are. Grinning, I walk back to my chair. Are you ready to go? She throws her arms around my neck as we wait for the car, and I hold her close and tight. I love my necklace, and I love you. She glides her nose over my jaw like she always does when I hug or kiss her. She likes it when I am clean-shaven, and I love how it turns her on. We break apart, and I move toward the car. I open the door for her as I say, I love you more. She's fumbling through her purse as I start up the car and pull away. She pulls out a small black bag. Pointing to the valet's temporary holding spaces, she asks, Can you pull over there a second? Glancing at her in a dress that leaves little to the imagination, I reach for her hand and grin. Sure, baby, but can't you wait until we get home? I can't help but laugh to myself over my own wit. She playfully slaps my hand away and doesn't let me grab hold of hers. River, just pull over. Okay, beautiful girl, your call, I say, winking at her, thinking she wants me now. I put the car in park and turn to face her. She looks like a knockout in that short, strapless black number. The dress exposes so much of her soft skin, it's just calling for me to lick her. And the bottom is so short, it's just screaming for me to run my fingers along her thighs. What's really killing me are those high boots. They made me hard the minute I saw her. Honestly, I'm having a hard time keeping my shit together around her tonight. I really should have just taken her into the bathroom, but it's Valentine's Day and I wanted to make it romantic. I've never spent one of these heart-filled days with someone I really cared about, so this is all new to me. My sister suggested taking Dahlia to a nice hotel for the night, so that's what I'm doing. I actually made a reservation at the Beverly Wilshire last month. The suites were all taken, but I was able to book a room. She touches her pearls for a minute while the black bag rests on her lap. She seems pretty happy. Then, with that seductive smile that could thaw the Arctic, she says, "Close your eyes and hold your hands out." I swallow and nod, squeezing my eyes shut and holding my palms up over the console. As I do, I can feel cool metal objects being carefully placed into them. Happy Valentine's Day, River. Opening my eyes, I see 6 metal guitar picks, all uniquely engraved. I scan each one before looking up at her. My smile must be wider than any dam ever built to stop a flood. I transfer all of them into one hand and hold up the one that reads, "I love you." I stare at her with amazement. "I love you," I whisper while trying to rein in my emotions. I lean over her and kiss her, slipping my tongue in her mouth because I want to taste her so badly. I squeeze my palm shut so I won't drop any of the picks and grab her with my free hand. I run my hand through her soft hair and over the smooth, bare skin of her neck and shoulders. She giggles and pulls away, breathing just as hard as I am. "I love you more." Shaking my head in disagreement, I decide not to engage in our little who loves who more game because I know I'll win. I love this girl more than anybody has ever loved anyone. Instead, I just look at her as she moves her hand in my tightly closed palm. She begins to pull my fingers open one at a time, exposing the engraved picks. She takes all of them out of my hand, leaving the "I love you" one in my palm. Selecting one at a time, she reads each engraving to me as if she's whispering sweet nothings. "Hold me," she whispers, running her fingertips over the words before gently placing it in my hand with the "I love you" pick. Then she does the same thing with the others as she whispers, "Touch me, kiss me, and love me." Finally, she giggles as she says, "And this is my favorite, lover boy." Once all 6 gifts are safely in my hand, she opens the bag for me to pour them back in. Before I do, I take the touch me one and stick it in my front pocket as she looks at me quizzically. "What?" "I'm saving it for later, in case I want to cash it in." "They're guitar picks, silly. They're not sexual favor chips." "I know what they are," I say, sitting back in my seat and putting the car in drive. Then with a glance over at her, I ask, "Did you give these to me as a present?" Her lips purse in that adorable way she has when she's trying to explain something. "Yes." "Well then, they can be whatever I want them to be." She just shakes her head at me. "Okay, lover boy." We're driving down the highway listening to music when the mighty Storms' Through It All comes on the radio. Dahlia is quiet as she listens to the lyrics. It's almost as if she's trying to memorize it. Once the song finishes, I turn down the volume and look over at her. "Did I ever tell you we opened for Jake Weathers a couple of years ago?" "Before Johnny died? No fucking way! You knew both of them?" she asks, practically jumping out of her seat. "Yes, fucking way," I respond, but without any of her enthusiasm. I don't apologize for using the F word since I consciously decided to use it to make my point. "Wow, you really met Jake Weathers? That's amazing. I would love to meet him. I think he's a musical genius." "Yeah, the whole situation sucks. He had it together when we met him in his band, and I'm sure he'll get through it." I stopped to think how hard it would be if I lost someone. We even hung out after the show. All the guys were pretty cool. We actually learned a lot just from playing with them that one time. I'm impressed. Jake Weathers. Who else have you met? Any of the guys from One Direction? No, I laugh. Their music isn't exactly my type of music, but do you like the D-Bags? I ask her, knowing what I'm about to tell her will definitely freak her out. Of course I do. I love Kellen Kyle. You know him too? I nod. I met him once before we went on our first tour. He was in L.A. and his friend Evan, you know, the drummer in his band? Of course I know who Evan is. Kellen met him on his way to L.A. while passing through Oregon. Anyway, they came to Smitten's to jam with us, but that was the last I saw of them. They met a few guys here in L.A., and I think that's when they formed the D-Bags. I never heard of them again until they went on tour last year. I look over at her again as I say, Belle met Kellen too. She spent most of the night he jammed with us talking to him in between sets, and then met up with him after we were done. Your sister went on a date with Kellen Kyle. I wouldn't call it a date, and please don't ask me for the details because I never asked. See? You are famous, she says, smiling over at me and finally sitting back down. No, I'm really not. I told you this. I think it's cute that she loves music so much and that certain artists get her so excited. As I pass the exit that leads to her house, she points to the sign as I zoom by. Wait a minute, where are we going? It's a surprise. You'll see. But we're not sleeping at home tonight. So, where are we sleeping? Please don't tell me we're sleeping on an air mattress. Laughing as I turn the music up, I say, in a bed. She pouts her lips and reaches out her long, slender arm to turn the volume back down. In a bed where? I love when she pouts her lips like that. She looks so hot. Where are we going? She huffs again. I have to laugh because I think she might be having a fit. You're not going to stomp your feet and cross your arms, are you? Because if you are, I'm going to have to pull over to watch this. She sticks her tongue out at me, and I try to grab it, but she moves away too quickly. I turn the music back up and sing along, waiting for her next question, but she's good at playing any game I throw her way. She doesn't say anything as she shifts in her seat and hikes her dress up just a little higher. I give her a quick glance and look back at the road. I can play too. She stretches, and her top slips down slightly. Damn, she's good. I keep singing and humming, thumping my fingers to the beat on the steering wheel, trying to ignore her. Then she breaks and starts to speak. I grin over at her. So are you going to tell me where we're going? She asks again. Nope. Well, that's too bad, because I have a secret I want to share, and I was thinking a trade was in order. You know, 1 for 1, she says, twisting a little, leaning her elbow on the console and placing her chin in the palm of her hand. Not interested. Oh, I think you might be, especially since it has something to do with what I'm wearing. Oh, I mean, not wearing. I whip my head around at her. You're lying. Sitting up straight, she runs her fingers from the top of her boots to beneath her skirt where I can't see them anymore. Tell me where we're going and find out for yourself. Instantly reaching my hand over to her lap, I blurt out, the Beverly Wilshire. I drive faster so I could just get there already. Okay, so she's good. Oh my God, I've heard it's amazing there. How do you manage to get a reservation for Valentine's Day? I thought they book out almost a year in advance. I have to laugh because she thinks she knows me so well already, and actually, she does. Tapping my fingers on her leg, I say, I'll never tell. Fine, be that way. Providing details wasn't part of the trade, but a deal's a deal. My fingers start to creep up her thigh. I get hard instantly at the feel of her soft skin. Actually, I feel like I've had a raging hard-on since she put those thigh-high boots on. I don't give a shit about hearts and flowers anymore. I want her. I need to taste her. I want to be inside her. So I drive even faster. I run my fingers all the way up the inside of her legs. Fuck, she wasn't lying. She's not wearing panties. I start to move my fingers and I can feel how wet she is. She's just so fucking hot. And suddenly she presses her hand on top of mine and pushes it away. Grinning mischievously, she says, That's enough for now. Shocked, I look over at her, and she seems to be the perfect picture of calmness. On the other hand, my pulse is racing, and I feel like I'm now the one who's going to have the tantrum. What? Why? I mutter. She takes my hand and holds it in hers as she crosses her legs. Because providing details wasn't part of the trade. I'm horny as hell as I pull up to the hotel, and I hope the evidence in my jeans isn't too noticeable as I hand the valet my keys. I've already checked us in, and I have the room key in my pocket, so we head straight to the elevators. We're finally alone in the elevator. My heart is beating about 7 times too fast as I reach out and grab her. Pressing her body against the wall, I pull her mouth to mine and enjoy the taste. This is not a loving romantic kiss. That moment has passed. I want you, now. I manage between my wet, tongue-filled kisses. I want you too. Staggering out of the elevator, not wanting to unlock my lips from hers, I try to pull the key out of my back pocket, but she's distracting me. Her fingers are in the waistband of my boxers, and she's sliding them around to the front, trying to unbutton my fly as I blindly reach behind me and pull the key card out. We make our way to the room, and I somehow manage to open the door. As we enter, I shove her dress down, and it immediately falls to the ground. Fuck, she isn't wearing a bra either. I step back to look at her. She's standing in front of me in only her fuck-me boots and pearls. I really want to take a picture of her. I know I'll never forget her image like this, right now, but I want to be able to see her whenever she's not with me. She stands there watching me watch her. I see her breath picking up speed as she runs her fingers through her hair. I take another step back and glance around the room. Champagne? I ask, pointing to the bottle chilling on the table near the window and the bowl of strawberries next to it. Absolutely, she says, standing there biting her lip. I pop the cork and pour us each a glass, adding 2 strawberries to hers. Can I ask you something? Sure, anything, she answers, and I love that she feels completely comfortable with her body around me. Can I take your picture? I'm a little nervous asking because I really have no idea what she will say, other than call me a pervert probably. She slowly walks over to me and takes her glass of champagne from my hands. She takes the berry I pushed onto the rim, dips it in the liquid and bites. Maybe we can barter? Swallowing at the sight of her, all of my nervousness is gone. I take another berry from the bowl, dip it into her glass, and press it to her lips. Oh, yeah. What did you have in mind? I want a picture too. You want a naked picture of me in pearls and boots? Giggling, she says, No, I want a picture of you. She sets her glass down and quickly unbuttons my shirt, tossing it aside. Wearing only your jeans and... Moving my mouth to hers, I lick the champagne off her lips. And... Take my picture first, she says, sucking on my bottom lip for a second before moving back. Shrugging my shoulders, I reach into my front pocket and pull out my phone. The Touch Me pic is in there as well. I smile as I pull it out. I'll save this for later, I say, holding it up before placing it on the table. She starts to make all sorts of absurd poses, and I pretend to be a fashion photographer telling her what to do. We do this for at least 5 minutes as her poses go from nice to naughty, and my horny meter shoots off the charts. Okay, playtime is over. Time for the real picture. Okay, bossy pants, she says with her hands on her hips. Where do you want me? Right there. I point to where she's standing as I lean over and gently kiss her. Thank you. She gives me a soft smile and I hit the camera button 3 times to ensure one of the pictures is good. I scroll to the camera roll and look. You really are so beautiful, Dahlia. I hand her my phone to look. I don't want to see myself naked, you pervert, she quips, and I start laughing. I grab our glasses, and handing her hers, I toast, Happy Valentine's Day, beautiful girl. Happy Valentine's Day, River. I love you. We both take a sip, and I grab another berry from the bowl and dip it in her glass, but this time, I don't run it over her lips. I trail it down her chest. Then with the tip of my tongue, I follow the path I made with the champagne. Her nipples harden instantly as I circle one, then the other before sliding my tongue back up her chest, her neck, and to her ear where I whisper, I want you now. She says, waving her finger at me. Walking over to the bed where she threw her purse, she pulls out a tube of lipstick and smears it on her lips. "You don't need that, you know. It's not like we're going anywhere," I tell her. "I know. It's for my picture."